How's it going up there?
Just a second, Jimmy. Okay, that's not it.
Oh, you're sure?
Let me try something else. Sorry, Jimmy. That's the best I can do.
The best you can do?
Jimmy! My life's work!
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
And today's movie was once again picked directly for us by one of our awesome patrons. Binoy Mohammed has chosen the 2017 Malayalam drama Ottamuri Velicham. If you want us to review a specific film, please consider becoming a patron or YouTube member as well. It's also what keeps this channel running.
Ottamuri Velicham, which translates to Light in the Room, was written and directed by Rahul, Riji, Nair. It was his feature-length film debut. Since then, he wrote and directed 3 other movies. His latest one, Koshy, was released just a few months ago. Ottamuri Velicham won 4 awards at the 2017 Kerala State Film Awards. Best Character Actress for Pauly Valsan, who plays the mother. Best Editing for Apu N. Batatiri. The Special Jury Award for Lead Actress Vinitha Koshy. And most importantly, Best Film.
The storyline is simple but very powerful. We follow Sudha, a woman who reaches a beautiful hilltop village after her marriage with Chandran. They stay along with Chandran's brother and aging mother in a confined single-room house with a makeshift separation to create space for them. Their room also has a strange color-changing light without a switch.
And that Chandran, who's an electrical engineer, calls the invention of his life.
Adding to the disturbance of a light that's always on, even at night, Chandran also starts to physically and psychologically abuse Sudha, which puts her in a deep trauma. She realizes that she doesn't have any support and that no one gives a damn about her, so she tries to take matters in her own hands.
This is a small film, realized with a shoestring budget, and despite it having won the Kerala State Film Award, I'm not sure if many people really know about it. When you look at the votes and user reviews on IMDb and the views of the trailer, I don't think so. And that's a shame, because it's quite a powerful and important film.
In many ways, it reminded me of this year's The Great Indian Kitchen. Both films are told from the perspective of a newlywed young woman who moves in with their new husband and who has to suffer from the passed-on oppressive traditions and structures of the patriarchy. Both movies are also set in these large, vast green surroundings, though Ottamuri Velicham even more. While the woman in The Great Indian Kitchen comes into this big mansion that she has to take care of, Sudha comes into this little shack that's really just in the middle of nowhere.
And that's part of the great introduction of this movie, how she and we arrive at this place, which I think is somewhere in the Agastya Hills at the border between Kerala and Tamil Nadu. There is or was a tea plantation in a place called Bonakat, which was established by the British. Chandran's mother actually tells Sudha about it, and we also see some abandoned houses from that plantation when Sudha is exploring the region.
It's a seemingly idyllic place, nature's heart if you will. All those sounds and the beautiful colors. The cinematography by Luke Jose is breathtaking. There's not a lot of movement, most of the time the camera just remains in its position, but these images have so much depth. It's the vastness of the outside versus the claustrophobic inside.
I went into this movie with a completely open mind. I haven't read about it, I didn't watch the trailer, and we haven't talked about it before. So I really had no idea what it's about. And I think the movie does a good job in keeping you in the dark for a certain amount of time. We learn that there's a marriage, we get to know Sudha, we learn a little bit about Chandran. It's a very organic way of introducing us to this story.
I agree, but we definitely know that something will happen, because the movie's not holding back in giving you hints. On the way to Sudha's and Chandran's marriage, the car breaks down, which is already taken as a bad omen, but we also learn pretty quickly that Chandran seemingly doesn't give a shit about anything regarding his marriage or Sudha.
That's true. Something I wrote down while watching the movie is that you think it's kind of cute what's happening there. As a person who didn't have a clue what this movie's about, I thought that Chandran's grumpiness might subside with time, that he and Sudha will grow closer through his work as an electrician, and that the story will go that way somehow. Because Chandran's not the first sulky man I've seen in an Indian movie that's unhappy with his marriage, and that needs time to find his love, you know?
That's pretty interesting, and you can probably see it that way, but I guess you were pretty surprised when things turned out the way they did, weren't you?
Yes, I was. You?
Yeah, I mean, I knew something was coming, but the way it kind of floods you, the immediacy in which it is staged and shot really got to me. And like you said, the movie lures you in somehow. How Suda tries to fit in at first, how she tries to be a good wife, how she brings food, how she wants to improve the situation by repairing the windows, for example. And she really only asks for little things. Also, this beautiful moment early on when she's exploring the jungle and finds this place at the river.
Of course, this kind of storytelling is supposed to hit you in the gut. I don't know if it's a spoiler now or...
Although I think Ottamuri Velicham will still hit you in your gut when you know all about it, here's a spoiler warning.
So let's talk about Chandran. First, I wanted to say that Deepak Parambol is pretty good as Chandran. He's scary, he's menacing, he's this quiet, brooding beast that could explode any second, which he does. But he's also smart, which probably also had a part in me thinking that everything will be hunky-dory.
At first it bothered me a little bit that Chandran was painted only in a negative light, no pun intended. He really has no redeeming qualities, and while we get to learn a little bit about his background, at one moment his mother tells Suda that she was beaten by her husband as well and that Chandran has witnessed it, but for the most part we just have to accept that he's a misogynistic sociopath. And sometimes I have a problem if a movie paints its characters in such a negative light, because I feel it might be oversimplified or unrealistic. But actually, I think that's really my problem, because I'm overtly optimistic and stuck in my bubble. Because of course there are people like Chandran in the world, and far too many probably.
Yes, something that we learn at the end of the movie. But it's really horrifying how this screw of darkness, I don't know if people get what I mean, gets tightened and tightened with every action Chandran takes. From choking her, to beating her, to using pincers on her, to raping her. It's unbearable.
And Suda's downward spiral goes from being unhurt to being unhappy to being completely broken physically and mentally, which is kind of narratively replicated when she later goes back to that beautiful place by the water, but completely battered.
And it's so hard to take in that nobody cares about what's going on, because it is so much engraved in these people's minds that this is the way it's supposed to be. Either you can't do something or you don't want to do something because this marital bond between man and woman is so sacred and holy.
The movie keeps a good balance through its supporting characters, because it's not like Suda only receives humiliation from everyone. Actually, most other characters try to remind Chandran that his behavior is not how you treat a woman. But that's as far as it goes. Everyone still allows it, because at the end of the day it's normalized in society. It's okay to treat your wife the way you please. The abuse and also the marital rape, all of that is still protected under the mantle of marriage.
Chandran also thinks that he has the right to behave however he wants to, because he sees himself as a kind of a savior. He more than once mentions that Suda had it worse before she met him.
The character of the mother is also strong. She tries to comfort Suda, but is still helpless to change anything. And she's always trying to justify or excuse her son's actions because of something that happened to him in his life. At one point, she resigningly says to Suda, "After all, you're a woman."
Yeah, I think there are only a few glimmers of hope or rays of light in Suda's life when she explores the place for the first time. Then there's this short moment where she meets some of her future relatives, gets served some food and talks to other women. And then there's the little girl that visits her now and then.
That's another similarity to The Great Indian Kitchen. The character of the little girl, who in both movies appears like this one untainted, genuinely friendly contact for our protagonist. And like The Great Indian Kitchen, you can actually call Ottamuri Velicham a horror movie, because it shows truly horrific social structures, and because it's so real, it's even more horrifying.
Vinitha Koshy is fantastic as Suda, and her transformation feels so real and relatable. You can really feel what she feels. And it's not like there's a ton of dialogue, there's actually very little. So what she's able to convey with her expressions and the few words she says, the sadness, the yearning, the terror and horror, is magnificent.
Ottamuri Velicham is a realistic drama, but has also this titular element of the light in their room that gives it this slightly fantastical vibe. Or not really fantastical, but there's more to it, and it's obvious that the movie wants you to think about it.
Definitely, it lends itself to interpretation.
You might consider this another spoiler, but I want to share my thoughts on it. I think this slide shows the dominance and control that Chandran has over his wife, and in his place, the patriarchy over women.
Big Brother is watching you.
Exactly. The bedroom should be a place of intimacy and one should feel safe and at comfort. But the light that's always on doesn't allow that. Suda is always exposed, even when she undresses, because of the light you can see her from the other room. The light is shown as this almost monstrous construction that watches over her, and there's simply no switch to turn it off. And there seems to be no switch to turn off these societal structures. They wear you out and make you weak.
I actually think that this is a pretty accurate interpretation, at least one that I would fully agree to. And of course, after everything is done in the end, she builds the switch into the light and turns it off.
She takes control.
Yes, now I really liked Ottamuri Velicham, but I was kind of irritated by the narration. It is very straight. It's like a line that goes up and done. The dramatic structure always goes in this one direction, so for me it felt like there's something missing in the end, some kind of feeling. Of course the message hits home, but somehow I wanted a little bit more. A knockout punch or something like that.
I'm not sure if I agree. For me, it had a punch in the end. Her openly confronting the brother felt really powerful, and just the simplicity of installing that switch to the light, for me, that was a nice closing punch.
Okay, so what would we say in German about Ottamuri Velicham?
Ein mutiger Film, der nicht nur wichtig, sondern auch notwendig ist. Gerade dann, wenn es am schwersten ist hinzuschauen, sollte man nicht wegschauen. I give Ottamuri Velicham 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.4. But I don't do that.
For me, it's also a 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.1, but I don't do that either. Did you know that red light furthers the production of melatonin, so humans can actually relax and even sleep better when there is red light flooding the room? With blue light, it's exactly the opposite.
I kind of knew that. So, what are your thoughts about Ottamuri Velicham? Leave a comment. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at the Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at the Buddymeister.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.